everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, thanks for checking out my channel. I do appreciate it. Alright, so today we are doing the review for the film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Now this movie is a Thanksgiving movie. It's one of the only movies I actually know of that is surrounding Thanksgiving. So I figured today is Thanksgiving. I will do a review, try and edit it so it is up at least before midnight. So, alright, so Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, if you've seen this movie, I don't even need to give the plot, but for the people who haven't seen it, the plot is basically there's this guy, played by Steve Martin, who needs to get home by Thanksgiving, and he's out of state, and he thinks he's going to miss his flight, but he doesn't. But when he gets there on time, the flight is canceled because of a snowstorm, and then things just go terrible from there. Obviously, the title, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, so it involves those other things as well. This movie is just really funny. I don't know if it's because I find Steve Martin to be really weirdly funny, or if it's just a well-made movie. John Candy, I haven't seen him in much else, but he's funny in this movie, and Steve Martin and John Candy's chemistry back and forth, it works well because it is kind of odd. So this is one of those movies where when you cast it, you want them to have chemistry, but at the same time, the chemistry needs to be messed up because it needs to come across as though there's a lot of tension. So I think it's cast great. I don't know if it was cast that way on purpose or just because John Candy and Steve Martin were big names at the time. But either way, I think it was great. I actually got to see this movie last weekend. They were playing it at a theater down in Buffalo. So I was able to go see it. I took my grandmother because she's a huge fan of the movie. And the theater was mostly packed, I would say. It was just great to be in that setting, seeing it on the big screen and, being surrounded by the audience reactions and things. It was great. And it was actually the first time I've ever seen the movie in its completion. So that was great as well. Do I have any negatives with this movie? Not really. I think the pacing is pretty good. I never feel really bored with it. It does have a great rewatchability factor. The acting is just funny. I think part of the reason what makes this movie so funny is because these things that happen are so relatable to the everyday person, because this is the kind of stuff that happens in our lives, especially when we're really busy and we're trying to get something done or get somewhere, and everything just starts falling apart. And I think that's why people love this movie so much. Another reason I think people love this movie is because this is one of those comedies that is so rare these days. It's heartwarming. It's a heartwarming comedy, and movies that come out now, especially comedies, they are funny. There are some very funny ones, but it doesn't usually have that heartwarming message to it. And if it does, it's very poorly done. But in this movie, you walk away and you feel happy, and you feel it just like a heartwarming holiday film, and it's great. And I think that's its strongest point. I don't think this movie really gets outdated. Or, well, it is outdated because it takes place in the late 80s, but it's not one of those films that... How do I put this? There's movies like The Wizard of Oz or Gone with the Wind that were great in its day and that are still famous films, but they're so outdated, like, technically and story-wise, and I'm gonna probably get people upset, but they're not like the greatest movies ever, right? They just don't hold up over time. But this movie still holds up, not because of... Ah, man, this is so confusing to me, because I'm trying to get this across to you guys without it sounding weird. I think the reason this movie holds up is because it's so relatable. And even though some of the things are outdated, Like, there are no cell phones, there is no internet. You know, you can't just text someone, you can't just redo your flight quickly on your phone, you know, stuff like that. The credit cards you use on one of those like folding paper things that you swipe across it. Like, those things don't really exist anymore. But besides that, and even with that being part of the movie, it doesn't take you out of the story. And I think for years and years, people are going to watch this movie and it's going to be a timeless classic for that reason. And I don't think it's going to kind of lose its entertainment value over time. Does any of that make sense? I don't know. It was very convoluted, sort of. For rewatchability, for a rewatchability factor, I'd probably give it an 8. It's not something I would want to watch all the time, but it is definitely a once a year at least movie that I want to see and that I'm going to enjoy every time I watch it. As far as filmmaking standpoint, it's pretty good. Like I said, it's not it's outdated, but it's not outdated in that bad sense. It's going to be a timeless classic, I think, forever. I think it's my favorite Steve Martin film next to Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Maybe it's because I haven't seen many other Steve Martin films, but Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which I will eventually do a review on because that movie is just so funny, and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles are great. Great Steve Martin films. So that about wraps it up. Leave your comments below on, what you think about this movie, if you enjoy it, if you agree with my viewpoint of it being a timeless classic or not. Like this video, subscribe, I would really appreciate it. I'm close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and I would really like to hit that before the year ends. I would appreciate it a lot. Thanks for watching. I hope you see me in the next video. I am Aaron, and goodbye.